My name's Grace Evelyn Morgan. I'm 45 and this past February I dropped dead. Right there on the floor of the hospital where I've worked most of my life. My heart stopped beating for 22 minutes. I've been an oncology nurse at a busy hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina for over 20 years. My life wasn't exciting or dramatic, it was stable, simple. My husband, Daniel, and our teenage son, Mason, were my world. Life was a steady loop of soccer practices, bills, and occasionally managing to squeeze in a rare date night. Yeah, I prayed, but if I'm honest, it was mostly just routine. A short prayer in the car heading into work. A quiet one while adjusting a patient's blanket. I believed in God, sure, but he felt distant. Like a loved one you haven't seen in years who lives somewhere far away. You care, but there's no real connection. I figured I was doing fine. I worked hard, loved my family, treated people right. I didn't expect anything unusual to happen to me. Definitely not something that would change everything. That Tuesday felt like any other. The unit was chaotic as usual. I just helped one of our regulars, an older gentleman named Harold, get his meds down. I hadn't eaten yet, so I grabbed a cup of bitter coffee from the break room. Then it hit me. At first, it was just this weird tingling in my right hand, like my arm was waking up from being asleep. I remember thinking, that's strange. Then suddenly, boom. It felt like something heavy dropped straight onto my chest. My lungs locked, I couldn't speak, couldn't even gasp, my knees buckled. And as I was going down, all I could think about was the stupid argument I'd had with Mason that morning. Over video games of all things. I'd left the house angry. That was the last thing I said to him. What a dumb way to leave things. As my head hit the tile, cold and hard, I remember one tear sliding down my face. And in my heart I whispered, "I'm sorry, Mason." Then everything stopped. It wasn't like falling asleep. It was like someone shut off the whole world, no pain. No noise, just stillness. The beeping monitors, the voices, everything faded into a quiet hum, and then, silence. I felt myself being gently pulled upward, like I was floating without effort. My eyes opened, but I wasn't breathing anymore. Still, somehow I knew I was me. I found myself floating near the ceiling, watching everything unfold below. My body was sprawled out on the tile, still as stone. Then Emily, my friend and fellow nurse, rushed in. Her face went pale the second she saw me. "Grace! Oh my God, Grace!" she screamed, falling to her knees and starting compressions. I'd seen this scene play out so many times, had been the one shouting for the crash cart, pushing on someone's chest with all I had. But this time I wasn't the one helping, I was the one lying there. And somehow I felt no fear, no panic, just this strange, peaceful lightness. I watched as the crash cart rolled in. They stuck the defibrillator pads to my chest. I heard the machine charging up. Someone yelled, "Clear!" And my body jolted violently off the floor. It was surreal, like I was watching a movie. Except it wasn't just a movie. I was both the one watching and the one it was happening to. And then something hit me, a wave of emotion. Not terror, not sadness, love. This fierce, quiet love. Love for my coworkers fighting so hard to bring me back. Love for Daniel, knowing he'd be getting the kind of phone call no one ever wants to answer. Love for Mason, my sweet boy, but even with all of that, I didn't feel tied to that body anymore. It didn't feel like me, I felt lighter. More like myself than I ever had when I was alive. Then it happened, a second pull, stronger this time. Everything, the break room, the shouting, even my body, started to fade like a dream you can't hold on to. I turned. And just like that, the hospital vanished. I was in darkness. Deep velvety black. But it didn't feel scary or cold. It was warm, safe, like being wrapped in the softest blanket. Everything was still, quiet. I had the sense that I was waiting, though I didn't know for what. And yet, I felt completely at peace. Then, off in the distance, I saw it, a tiny speck of light. It reminded me of the first star that appears in the sky after sunset. I couldn't stop looking at it. As I watched, it started to grow. Not just in size, but in presence. I couldn't tell if it was coming toward me, or if I was being drawn toward it. All I knew was we were getting closer to each other. The light swelled into this glowing golden white radiance. It didn't sting my eyes. It didn't blind me. Instead, it wrapped around me, pulsing with life. And as it got closer, I felt something I can't fully explain. I was completely seen. Not just the version of me people knew and liked. Every part of me, every mistake, every harsh word, Every regret I'd ever buried. It was all there out in the open. But instead of shame, there was love. I wasn't just forgiven. I was cherished, treasured. Then the light started to shift. A figure began to take shape in its center. It was a man. I couldn't quite make out his face at first. The light was so pure, like staring into the sun, but it didn't hurt. It wrapped around me like warmth itself. He wore a simple robe that shimmered like it was woven from the light itself. His hair was dark and fell just past his shoulders. But it was his eyes that stopped me cold. The moment he looked at me, I didn't have to ask who he was. I knew. With a certainty deeper than words, this was Jesus, no question, no doubt. His eyes weren't any shade I could name. They were pure, alive, like liquid love poured straight out of eternity. And in that gaze I saw it all, my whole life laid bare. Every moment I'd lived, and even those I hadn't reached yet. No one explained it to me, I just knew. Tears filled my eyes and spilled down my face, not from sadness, but from something deeper, relief. Like I'd been lost in a crowded place for hours, scared and searching, and suddenly there was my Father's face, smiling at me through the crowd. I was home. And when he smiled, it felt like the whole universe lit up with him. When he spoke, it wasn't sound. It was something that moved through my entire being. His voice filled me from the inside out. It carried peace, strength, absolute truth. "Welcome, Grace," he said. "Be at peace." That did it. I broke down. I fell to my knees, not out of duty, but because my soul couldn't do anything else in the presence of that kind of love. I felt so small, so unworthy. My mind flashed back to the worn-out scrubs I'd been wearing, the rushed prayers I'd mumbled on the job, the sharp words I'd thrown at Daniel when I was too tired to be kind. I saw the moments where I'd failed, where I'd snapped at a patient or brushed someone off. But then he reached out his hand toward me. It glowed with a soft, steady light. And even before he touched me, I felt it, like his very presence was healing something deep inside. "I don't see the scrubs, my child," he said. And his voice was so tender it felt like it was putting broken pieces of me back together. "I see your heart. I see the love you gave when no one noticed. The tears you cried for strangers. I see you." I looked up at him, and just like that, the shame I'd carried for years, some of it so deep I didn't even know it was there, it vanished completely. And in its place, this overwhelming, pure love settled in. It wasn't the kind of love you earn, it was the kind that simply is whole, unshakable. We stayed in that perfect stillness for a while. I couldn't tell you if it lasted a second or a lifetime. Time didn't seem to exist there. Then I saw something shift in his expression. He was still full of love, but there was a new weight in his eyes. A sadness, quiet and deep. "There are things you need to see," he told me. "And things you must tell them." His voice grew stronger, more resolute. "The world has lifted up new idols," he said. "They chase after stars, but not the ones I placed in the heavens. They worship fame, wealth, and image. Their hearts have turned away from me." Suddenly, the space around us changed. It felt like we were standing high above the earth on a vast ledge looking down. Then the view came to life, images moving in front of us like a giant living screen. "I'm going to show you something hard," he said softly. "It's not to frighten you, it's a warning. A call to intercede. Many of the idols this world worships are walking straight toward destruction. Their time is running out. And this year a shaking is coming. One they never saw coming." The first vision came into focus, and right away I recognized him. A global icon. A rock star whose music echoed in nearly every corner of the world. I saw him on stage, lights flashing, fans screaming like it was a wave crashing over him. A sea of cell phones lit the darkness like stars, waving in rhythm as the crowd poured their adoration onto him. And he soaked it in, every bit of it. But then Jesus shifted what I was seeing. The noise faded. The lights dimmed. And suddenly I could see beyond all the glitter and glory, straight into the man's heart. And what I saw broke me. Inside, he was completely hollow, like a deep, empty cavern with nothing echoing back. I saw him later, alone in a massive, sterile mansion. Prescription bottles lined the cold marble counter like trophies of survival. Then came the faces, people he had used, tossed aside, and forgotten like old clothes. The tours, the sold-out crowds, the fame. It all meant nothing. He was a prisoner, trapped in a golden cage built by his own success. He was given an incredible gift, Jesus said, sorrow thick in his voice. His music had the power to shine light in dark places. But instead he chose to exalt himself and feed the darkness. His pride has built a fortress so tall. Even my voice struggles to reach him now. Pray for him, Grace. The sand in his hourglass is nearly gone. I felt my chest tighten with grief for this man. I'd seen him in interviews, heard his songs, thought he had it all. But now, through heaven's eyes, I saw the truth. He had nothing that truly matters. Then the scene shifted. A woman appeared next. I knew her too. An actress adored by millions. Known for her humor, her charm, that infectious laugh that lit up every room. America's sweetheart. Families invited her into their homes through their screens, convinced they knew her. But again Jesus peeled back the surface. I saw her sitting alone in her car, parked in some shadowy parking garage. Her hands were covering her face, and her body shook with sobs. Not soft tears but deep soul-wrenching weeping, the kind that comes from years of silent pain. She was surrounded by people, assistants, publicists, so-called friends, but not one of them truly knew her. Her soul was starving for real love, for peace, for something that couldn't be bought or scripted. She wore her smile like a mask, a costume for the cameras. But when the lights went out, she collapsed into herself, unseen and unheard. She brings laughter to the world, Jesus said, his voice tender yet aching. But her own heart is shattering. The world praises her for pretending, for playing roles, but no one has stopped to know the real woman underneath. She is weary, Grace, so very weary. She believes the lie that her worth disappears when the spotlight fades. Tell them to pray for her. Tell them that the kind of love they're chasing in people like her, it can only be found in me. Tears streamed down my face. I couldn't stop them. It was so clear now how we lift celebrities onto pedestals, clinging to every word they say, trying to mirror their lives, their style, their image. But they're not gods. They're human, hurting, drowning beneath waves of fame that look beautiful on the outside, but can't save a soul. Then came the next vision, and it carried a different weight. I saw a man the world knew well. A tech billionaire, praised as a genius and hailed as the architect of the future. His ideas were shaping lives. He stood on stages, confident and admired, promising salvation through science. But Jesus let me see behind the curtain. At home his words were sharp, his heart cold. I saw how he crushed rivals without remorse, believed in no higher power, only in himself. He was pouring billions into projects to cheat death, convinced his money could delay what God has ordained for all. This one's pride wounds me deeply, Jesus said, pain clear in his voice. He's built his own Tower of Babel. I gave him brilliance to bless others, but he uses it to glorify himself. His empire stands on sand and the storm is near. When he stands before me, all his riches will blow away like dust. The vision faded. I was back in front of Jesus, shaken and overwhelmed. Why me? I whispered. I'm just a nurse. His eyes met mine, full of love. Because you have a gentle heart, Grace. You see pain others miss. This isn't for gossip, it's a wake-up call for my people. His voice turned firm but still tender. When the mighty fall, the world will tremble. But my children must remain steady. Don't trust in celebrities or wealth, they are dust. Some will fall in mercy, others in judgment. But for all it will be a chance to turn from the dying lights of this world and look to me, the one who placed the stars. Then he looked straight into my soul. This isn't about who dies, he said. It's that everyone will. Time is short. Tell them to stop chasing shadows. Tell them to stop bowing to what won't last, because all flesh returns to dust. That's when it hit me. It was never really about the celebrities. It was about us. About where we've been placing our trust all this time. And then, peace like I'd never known before settled deep into me. Not just a feeling but an anchoring stillness. I was home. This was where I truly belonged. The thought of going back to that loud, broken world made my chest ache. Please, I whispered, my voice trembling. Don't make me go back. I'm tired, Lord. So tired. Please just let me stay. He smiled, but there was sorrow in it, like he knew how much I wanted to stay. My beloved daughter, he said gently, your love for Daniel and Mason is a gift, but they still need you. Your work isn't done. He stepped closer, and his presence wrapped around me like warmth itself. There are still patients waiting. Not just for care but for hope. I've shown you the truth. Now you must carry it into the darkness. Be my hands, my feet, my voice of peace. It won't be easy. Some will laugh, others will turn away. But you will know the truth. And I will never leave your side. Leaving him, that perfect love, was the deepest pain I've ever felt. It was like something sacred was being torn from me. I wept, clinging to the moment. It's only for a short time, he said, his words carrying eternal weight. Go and tell them I love them. Tell them I'm waiting. He touched my forehead and warmth, a live holy surged through me. Then I was falling. The peace was gone in an instant, replaced by the brutal shock of returning to my body. I gasped, lungs on fire, pain roaring through my chest like an explosion. She's back. Pulses strong. Someone shouted. Emily's tear-streaked face appeared above me. Grace, can you hear me? Tears streamed down my cheeks, not from physical pain but from heartbreak. I had just left heaven. I had just left him. My voice was barely a whisper. The world spun and I felt heavy again, wrapped in weakness. They rushed me through the ER, then to ICU. I was no longer the nurse, I was the patient. They said I'd flatlined for 18 minutes, no heartbeat, no brain activity, but the scans? Perfect, no damage. The doctors didn't have answers. Dr. Marcus Ellison, my cardiologist, just shook his head and stared at my chart. Grace, he said, I can't explain this. Someone up there must really like you. If only he knew. The next few days blurred by. Machines humming, Daniel never letting go of my hand. I saw the fear in his eyes, the kind I'd never seen before. Mason came in, his face puffy from crying, and hugged me like he was afraid I'd disappear again. I'm sorry about the fight, Mom, he whispered. I held him close, tears soaking his hair. It doesn't matter, baby. None of that matters, all that matters is love. Life looks the same now, but I'm not. I've gone back to work, but I'm not just a nurse anymore. Every time I walk into a patient's room, I don't just see a chart or a diagnosis. I see a soul deeply, unconditionally loved by God. These days, when I sit beside a patient, I don't just offer routine comfort. I speak with purpose. I hold their hands and pray, not because it's what I've always done, but because there's something burning in me now. I talk to them about a kind of peace that doesn't come from this world. Some smile kindly, unsure, but others weep because they can tell. I'm not speaking theory. I've been there on the other side. Even the way I pray alone has changed. I don't feel like I'm reaching up to some far-off place. I'm just talking to someone who's right here, closer than the air in my lungs. And now I have to say what he told me to say. Heaven is real, Jesus is real. His love for you isn't shallow. It's fierce, personal, and beyond anything you've ever known. But none of us have forever. Time is running out. So let me ask you, what are you living for? Who do you admire? Is it someone rich? Famous? Powerful? Are you chasing success? Trying to build your identity on things that will eventually slip through your fingers? I've seen what's behind the curtain. All of that, it fades, none of it can give you peace. None of it can save you when it matters most. He asked me to speak this with love. Stop chasing what can't hold you. Stop worshiping what's falling. Because many of the world's idols are about to fall, and he doesn't want you caught in the collapse. If you've ever questioned whether God is real, if he sees you, hears you, hear this, he does. I'm standing here because he does. He's not distant, he's waiting, and he loves you.